Welcome to part 1 in our exposed coil vase building series. In part 1, we plan out our coil vase. Welcome to Stecker Studios. Before we begin building our coil pot, we're going to first decide on the type of vase we want to make, choose some coils, and make a template to help guide us. I'm going to create 2 sketches to choose from with different types of shapes and different types of coils. So here's the outline for the first shape that I might decide to use. And then I'll create one more shape just to kind of give me some options and see which one I like better. On the first shape, I just went ahead right away and drew the outline. On this one, I'm going to kind of set up a little bit of a guide for where the widest parts are and where the most narrow parts are before I add the outline. So you can see 2 different approaches to sketching it out. Now that I have my outlines for my 2 ideas, I'm going to start to break these pots into sections and fill each section with a different type of coil. When breaking your pot into sections, think about how the shapes move on the outside of the pot and how you might be able to break those sections up into smaller sections that we can then fill with different patterns. The base coils of both of my designs are going to start with straight coils to help give some stability. On top of that, I'm going to experiment with different types of coils to create an interesting design. At the base of my pot, I decided to start with some straight horizontal coils to provide some stability, and above that I placed some vertical coils which help to lead the eye up the pot. The next row after that, I've decided to use some zigzag coils which help kind of bring the eye back and forth. And on top of that, I'm beginning to add some spiral coils which are kind of fun and help lead the eye around and create a little bit of movement. In between each section, I've included a horizontal straight coil in order to break up the space a little bit and provide stability in between each section. This last one, I'm adding a pattern of both vertical and horizontal shapes that kind of play back and forth on one another, create an interesting rhythm. On my next sketch, I'm going to try to do something maybe a little different and experiment with some other types and other patterns as well. I think it's a good idea to start your base or near your base with some horizontal straight coils in order to provide some better support. Next, I'm going to use some round coils or circular coils in order to accentuate more of the round curvy surface of this pot. In the middle, I'm going to use little balls of clay to help fill in the gaps. The second level, I'm going to start adding some double spirals which kind of spiral toward each other. Kind of moves the eye in a fun way and also kind of provides that round shape to help accentuate the curves in this pot. And again, I'm going to use another set of little round balls in order to kind of fill in the space and kind of help keep everything together. Now on this level, I want to try something a little different. I'm going to try to make some little square shapes so I can form some square coils to place in there just to kind of make it a little bit different than what I've already done. And again, in between each section, I'm using a horizontal straight coil in order to break up the space and provide some support. Now, before I kind of like that little bit of a pattern I had of both vertical and horizontal patterns together, so I'm going to try that again above my square coils. And for the top of my pot where it gets a little bit more narrow, I'm going to use some more vertical coils to kind of help accentuate that shape and to just kind of finish it out where it's a little bit more narrow. Now that our sketches are done, it's time to create our template. I'm creating a template for my design number 1. I went ahead and measured 7 inches from the bottom of my paper so I know that my pot will be between 6 to 8 inches tall. And now I'm drawing the outline of the shape of the pot. And we're only drawing about half of it. We're leaving the other half cropped off on the side of our paper. And then when we go ahead and cut this out, the shape that remains we will use to kind of guide the way that our pot will be shaped as we build it. Now we're going to go ahead and carefully cut along that line we just drew. And the part that we cut out here we can kind of just set aside or discard. The shape that's left remaining on our paper we can help to kind of use to fill in as we build our pot to help guide the shape. Take a look in our next video to see part 2 where we begin building the base and shaping our new coils. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing.